Welcome along to a brand new series. We are going to do a top 10 of the army lists for the classical period. I've done a lot of top 10s before, but they've all been about units. So a friend of mine did a request and he said, why don't you do a top 10 for the army list? It would be really interesting to see your choices. So here we are. I listened to my followers and I will deliver. We're going to do a top 10 and I'm going to start with the Spanish Sartorius list. We're using 1600 points, which is what we use in the league. This is a straightforward list. There are no allies. I will add allies as I feel is necessary to some of these lists and just pick the best one because in the league we use allies. So this is how we're going to do it. Even though there are not a lot of choices, we've got some great units. And in my top 10, if I went back and had a look at my top 10 for classical, some of these units, like Noble Cavalry, would be in it because it's only 44, 4 more than Armoured Cav, yet it is superior quality. So that means it will just do better on the battlefield and pass cohesion tests. Javelin Horse would also be my top 10. Very versatile unit, very useful for chasing down enemy skirmishers, for breaking fragmented units, charging in the rear of cav, scouting, and so on. Another unit that would be in the top 10 would be the Roman Legionaries, one of the best units in the game. Armoured, superior quality and impact foot. And then also something like Javelin Men. I mean, they're the cheapest of the skirmishers, the foot skirmishers. So some nice units here. Another thing to mention is all our infantry. Let's zoom in a little bit. All of the infantry is impact foot. So it's going to cause some problems for the opponent. Combine that with the amount of skirmishers we've got. I've got 12. I've got 11 of Javelin Men and 1 slingers. That's a lot. So you can try and disrupt some units before your impact foot goes in. And that will be very helpful as well. We've got more Javelin Men than usual in the classical list. Sometimes you only get 1 or 2. Some lists don't have any. But these will help as well with disruptions and harassing the enemy. Because one little thing, well, the reason it is just at 10 is that most of our infantry is medium foot. So yes, Legionaries heavy foot, Warband heavy foot, but in the open, once in melee, sometimes they all break. So that is one reason why it's not higher in the list. But overall, when you look at the Javelin Horse, Noble Cav, loads of skirmishers, all impact foot, yes, I am going to say this army list deserves to go in. At number 9, we are going to look at the Gallic 300 BC list with Samnite 355 BC allies. This is quite a nice list. Zoom in a little bit more than before. These wonderful figures and modelling and colours. All our infantry is impact foot, which is great. We've got some units that I like, such as Noble Cavalry. Celtic Chariots are good because they're pretty cheap and they are superior quality. So actually when you see how they do on the battlefield, they can often hold more expensive cavalry units in place for quite some time. They're also quite maneuverable as well, so they can be quite a handful for the enemy. We've got superior warband. I will say that these standard warband units are a little bit brittle, but they are close order. And that is one advantage we have over some fairly similar lists. With the Spanish Sartorius list we looked at, more than half our army or our infantry was medium foot. We've got a lot of heavy foot here, as well as the superior warband. With a similar list like the Galatian list, the problem with that list is it's all heavy foot. So one of the things you've got to look at when assessing an army list is how flexible is it? What are the options? And with this list, we've got access to loose order warband, essentially medium foot, close order, and it is a good mix. We can take more close order if we want. We can take some loose order. If it's a map with lots of rough ground, you might well need some loose order warband. We can do it. So that is going to mean that you're just more likely to do better on more maps. So that's why it's ahead of something like Spanish Sartorius and included instead of, say, Galatian. Okay, so that is going in at number 9. At number 8, I'm going to go for a little bit of a wild card here. Ptolemaic 55 BC with Roman 105 BC allies. It's nice to suggest different, unusual lists so that we're not all using the same armies all the time. I haven't used this list. I've seen it being used in the league. I was going through all the lists, and there can't be many armies that have access to Roman legionaries, veteran Roman legionaries, imitation legionaries, mediocre Roman legionaries, which are actually not mediocre, as well as Machimoy pike and an elephant. There can't be many. There can't be many. So we've got some pike, we've got a mix of the decent Roman legionaries and the veteran version. As you know, in a lot of my videos, I'm always saying I'd never pay 96 for a veteran unit. I might just take one at most, but because we've got so many of the cheaper end units, I mean, these mediocre Roman legionaries, great price, 54, imitation legionaries, 51, plus your Thracians and Spanish impact foot and irregular if you want, and raw legionaries. We've still got 18 infantry units. I'm always looking for around 20, so for this particular list, I would actually take 2 because they are excellent. And when you have 6 Roman legionaries, 2 veteran version, that's going to help you a lot. And we have, I think, about 14 units of impact foot here. So that is quite formidable. We have an elephant. Not all units have elephants. You don't have to take one, just depends which army you're facing. Generally, pike, heavy armies, maybe I wouldn't take elephants or 1 max, but against more swordsman, warband, heavy, even legionary heavy armies, elephants can be quite useful. So that's the way I usually play it. We've got a decent amount of noble cavalry, as well as armoured cavalry and camel units, lancers. It's a nice mix. It's a nice mix. And if you want, you can take more skirmishers. A lot of options in this list. Some of you like Cretan archers, you can take them out. Some of you like raw legionaries, we can take another one out, or the medium foot offensive spear, Thracians. There's quite a lot of options. Heavy artillery, we can even take light horse archers, and more expensive cavalry. There's a lot of options there. So very flexible list. So yes, I think overall this just about deserves to go in my top 10, and it's going in at number 8. At number 7, I'm going to go for the Carthaginian 202 BC list. You can take allies, Numidian, but I would just use the base build myself. This is quite a popular list, especially with experienced players, but when you look at the units you have at your disposal, quite a lot of question marks come up actually in your mind, because yes, we've got these wonderful African spearmen, the veteran African spearmen, excellent unit, but even these veteran Italian foot are medium foot. Warband is sometimes quite weak against heavy foot in the open. Yes, we've got African spearmen, but then these are all medium foot. Phoenician style foot, Italian foot, Spanish impact foot. And so when you're going head to head with Roman legionaries or pike, these troops often can break a bit and not hold up so well. The way to win with this list is to use your lights, and probably I would take more out, and the javelin horse. You've got to use all the different components of the army to win. It's not just head to head like some of the other Carthaginian lists or other lists. You've got to use your javelin horse to disrupt things, to charge into things, annoy enemy cavalry, help you take the flanks, because you have got noble cav, which is great price, as I've said, and you have an elephant, and we have access to up to 4. That can be very useful. Sometimes in the league you're up against horse armies. This is a great boon to have up to 4 elephants, because lancer armies don't have much in the way of counters for elephants, so that's nice, definite plus. But you've got to keep your main line back a little bit while you do damage with your lights. I'd take out a few more infantry and maybe a cav unit, and add, maybe you need about more like 8 to maybe even 10. You have got a lot of javelin horse, so you need more lights, more javelin horse, get your cavalry moving around, and then bring in your infantry. Another problem is in maps where you've got impassable water and just a narrow map. That's bad for you, because this kind of list wants space, wants your light horse on the flanks and cavalry on the flanks, and to use all the space you can, because if the enemy just charges into you in a narrow amount of space, it's hard to get flanks, and it's harder to use numbers as well. So this kind of map isn't the greatest, unless you're going to be super defensive, stick everything in the woods and on the rough ground, but generally you want some space. But in the hands of a good player, this can be a dangerous list, because there's not that many lists that give you access to so many javelin horse, and in combination with light foot and noble cavalry and some fairly decent infantry, it can cause problems. So yes, we're going to go in at number 7. Number 6, we're going to go with the Antigonid 320 BC list with Greek 460 BC allies. I think now we're beginning to jump up a level or two, and once we get closer and closer to the top 5, they're kind of bona fide top armies that not many of us would argue with. The ones we've been looking at, like the Gallic and the Spanish Sartorius and the Carthaginian 202 list, some weaknesses there, difficult to use, maybe a lot of medium foot, maybe the warband's quite brittle, and so on and so forth. Whereas with this kind of list, our first pike army, you have got a great combination of pike and hoplites. And the thing about a lot of the pike lists, you don't always get access to citizen hoplites and the mercenary hoplites, and they're just really cost effective. They can often hold better units in place, especially swordsmen, and because they only cost 42, they're a great addition to an army, and they're heavy foot as well. A lot of the Greek lists have just pikes and then a big jump down to Thracians and offensive spearmen that are medium foot. So it's nice to have options. We've even got a veteran hoplite unit. So little things like that make all the difference. And we've still got some mediums. So, you know, on the rough ground, you need to use your medium foot. You can do it. We've got access to some lances. I notice in my lists, please, obviously, go with what you want to do. Don't just copy what I'm suggesting, because I'm just basically more looking at infantry a lot of the time, and so I have a minimum amount of skirmishers, and maybe in the league, and depending on the army I'm playing, I would take more skirmishers out, less infantry, more cavalry, etc., etc. So this is just to give us an idea, really, of standard builds. And so, yes, even though in a lot of my builds I'm showing you, I don't often take lancers out, sometimes I would. And if you have got some armoured cav, you haven't got any noble cav, like we had in the other lists, then yes, probably you do need a couple of lancers just to help you along. So there is a need sometimes. So yes, we've got access to that. Elephant, we can take 2. That's always nice to have. We've got a good amount of the javelin horse. And it's just quite a nice balanced army. I think it's about 19 infantry, 4 cav, an elephant, 6 skirmishers, 4 javelin horse. So this army can hold against almost anything. It's got 7 pike units, and one of those pike units is veteran pike. So the pikes will hold most infantry in place. Mercenary hoplites are good on the flanks because they are maneuverable compared to your citizen hoplites. So we've got a few of those, and then they can back up our pikes. Yeah, so overall, it's a pretty balanced list, and as our first pike army, I think it deserves to go in at number 6. At number 5, we're going to go with the Spartan 221 BC list with Roman 280 BC allies. This is a heck of an army. I took this army out maybe last season or the season before, did pretty well with it. And it is hard to fight because you have got pikes, but they are the Spartan pikes and above average quality. So when you've got a large unit, pike unit, and above average quality, that is some combo. And then when you mix in the Roman impact foot, superior armored, and the hastati, the regular hastati, above average impact foot, that's just tough to fight. And we've still got a pretty big army because of the cheaper end units. We've got access to Italian foot and the medium foot and the raw legionaries. We've got about 23 infantry units, so you're not going to overwhelm with numbers. Okay, cavalry is very iffy. We've only got 3 here, and it's the weakest kind of cavalry. But in classical period, cavalry doesn't dominate usually, and it's fairly underwhelming. So clever players will keep this cav back for as long as possible, and so it's going to be hard to take this army on head on. We've got some javelin horse, not many, but really it is all about the Spartan pike, and a pretty fearsome unit, and we can still take more lights out as well. So if some of you want more light infantry, I've got 6 here, but we've got more archers and slingers and javelin men that we can take. So maybe you don't want the Italian foot, which is perfectly understandable, because then even if I took 2 out, then I'd still have about 21 infantry units, and we could take more lights. So a little bit of flexibility. And even these spearmen, they're highly superior armored, so they will help us counter the cavalry. So even though we haven't got access to a lot of cavalry ourselves, this kind of unit can help in conjunction with the cav we do have to hold enemy cavalry at bay while we do the damage in the center. So this really does deserve to be number 5, if not a little bit higher. 4, we're going to go for the Macedonian 320 BC list with Greek allies. I did take this army out some time ago in the league. I did quite well with it because it has a nice mix of pike, even a veteran pike, and some superior warband. Not many pike armies have access to superior warband, so you've got that nice combo of holding and grinding down units with a large unit and then smashing into them with your superior warband. So quite a nice combo, and especially so if you've got citizen hoplites to back up the line as well as the mercenary hoplites. So it's a real nice mix of units. I've even got lancers, and I can take another one out if I want to. So if I want to dominate a flank, or if I'm fighting warband swordsman armies, these lancers come into their own really, and they can beat almost all cavalry of the period. So nice to have access to a few of them, and elephant as well. Again, if I'm fighting a warband army, I take more elephants out. So good mix, and we can take light infantry, we can take more. There are Cretan archers, and so a nice mix. If you want, maybe double. Some of you would take double the amount of skirmishers. Then you would have maybe 17, 18 infantry, maybe one less cav or something. It's still a decent sized army. So quite a lot of flexibility, good combination of warband, spear and pike. So deservedly it's going in at number 4. Here we are at number 3. I bet you guessed the Roman army was going to come up, and here we are with the Roman 199 BC list. This is a pretty difficult army to face. We've got some veteran hastati, 5 of them, regular hastati 9, then a mix of the medium foot and the Spanish impact foot. So it's quite a nice army, fairly well balanced. Okay, we're lacking cavalry. We've only got access to 2 javelin horse. Most of the Roman armies, you don't have a lot of cavalry. So it's all about the impact foot. And when you have got 5 superior quality units backed up by the above average quality units, as a lot of you will know from fighting the Romans, they just keep going. That superior quality, above average quality keeps them going, and they survive the cohesion tests and do a lot of damage on impact. So difficult army to face, and we've even got about 7 lights, and you can take more, and Cretan archers are available. So it's tough, a tough army. We've got an elephant as well. We've got other impact foot even. I mean, that's a standard warband unit, and the Spanish impact foot. So, and even the Raw Legionaries impact foot. So even some of those cheaper units can be very dangerous. So yes, I think they definitely should be considered a top army, and they're going in at number 3. At number 2, we're going for the Roman 105 BC list. I haven't taken allies because I want to max my legionaries, and some of you might be thinking, what's the difference between this list and the Roman 199 BC list? It's mainly the amount of superior armoured impact foot units I can get on the battlefield. So with the previous list, I think I had about 5 of the veteran hastati, which is the equivalent unit of the Roman legionaries, and I had hastati at above average quality. I had about 9, I think. So with this list, I've got 10 of the superior armoured impact foot units on the battlefield. And I've still got about 18 infantry units because I've got quite a lot of the cheap infantry units. So this is deadly because these guys are absolute hammer units. Hard to hold back with spear, with pike, with impact foot, whatever it is. one of the best units in the game. Maybe superior warband. They can hold maybe, but these guys are absolutely awesome. And when you've got elephant, and also another little difference, we've got access to noble cavalry. We didn't in the previous Roman list. That's a nice little bonus. So we've got 3 cav units. We've also got access to some light horse archers, and as well as the javelin horse. So that's a nice little bonus as well. So these little differences, they all add up because they can help annoy and support our light infantry. We've got 6 here, and it's the cheaper end as well. The skirmishers in the previous Roman list were 30 mostly, so that saves us some points. So overall, yeah, normal problems with lack of cavalry, but when you've got so many Roman legionaries on the battlefield, that is going to take some beating. And even these mediocre Roman legionaries, impact foot, armored, average quality, a good price at 54, they really do a good job as well a lot of the time. So justifiably, this list goes in at number 2. At number one, the Carthaginian 216 BC list, Hannibal in Italy. I would just take the base build myself, because whenever you take allies, it takes out some of the units from the base build, and I want to maximize my veteran African spearmen. These are the guys that are going to help me beat the Romans. Wonderful units. They are spearmen, they are veteran, so they usually survive impact against the Romans, and then they are up in melee even against legionaries. So these are wonderful, but I have to be honest and say, when I look at this list, imitation legionaries and the Spanish impact foot, which are medium foot, how can this list be number 1? I know I had some ideas before I started making the videos, but after looking in detail at those 2 Roman lists, you think it's going to be very difficult to beat the Romans, and it is. But what you got to do, you might need to take out another infantry or 2 and add some cavalry. You got to win with your cav, you got to win with your javelin horse and your light foot. Now, maybe light foot is not going to be as effective against the Romans as other armies because of their armor. So we can take another javelin horse out, which I would probably do, and I probably would add a couple more cavalry units, because you've got to attack the flanks, spread the Roman line out, because you are going to be down outside of these guys. You are going to be down on the impact and melee phases. So, and you can't even, you know, I was going to say use your numbers. We've got about 19 infantry here, but those Roman lists, I had over 20 units. So it is going to be a struggle. And leave comments below. Maybe this isn't number 1 actually. Maybe that, especially that Roman 105 BC list, it might generally be seen as the best army in the game, and this list might be more on a par with the 199 BC list. I think it might well be fair to say. But I love the Carthaginians. I love having some decent cavalry and options for more cavalry, because you are a little bit limited with the Roman armies. When you've only got 3 armoured cavalry, it's just about holding on, whereas with the Carthaginians, it really makes you a better player, because you have to use your cavalry, your lights, and your line all together. If you push forward too quickly, you're going to get absolutely hammered, even against pike units and pike armies. So you've got to use numbers, use light, javelin horse, cavalry to sweep on the flanks, as well as attacking with your line. It does make you a better player playing with this kind of army, because with the Romans you could just basically just throw in your legionaries, and most of the time they'll win. Warband armies are fairly one-dimensional as well. even pike armies often don't have a lot of cav, and it's really about those big pike units that will win you the game. With the Carthaginians, it is very much all arms of the army that are going to help you win. Okay, so let's see what you all say. Did I miss any out? What should I give some notable mentions? The Scots army, that's a 50 BC list. Maybe some of you think that's more of an imperial army. That's a sort of a spam swordsman army. That could have been in my top 10. Maybe Pyrrhic. There might be a few Lysimachid, a few more Greek pike armies you could argue should be in the top 10. Let me know what you think. But this is a nice start, and maybe Imperial. Let's do Imperial next. I'll do a top 10 maybe next week on Imperial. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again soon.